Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's yours truly, Captain Trucker. Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in. Today I want to talk about how foreigners and expats run into debt while they're in the Philippines, or maybe they move here to run away from their debt. So it's really not a strange, unheard of thing that, a lot of expats move here to save money, right? Because they want to stretch their dollar in retirement, and it's understandable. The U.S. is a very expensive place to live, man. The middle class Joneses are struggling. Is my hair messed up? Sorry. Inflation's out of control. It's really a hard place to survive, man. It really is, for the working class, for almost any class now. So yeah, obviously a lot of expats are trying to move to places like the Philippines and other countries as well. Maybe I heard Argentina is pretty good, Hungary in Europe, Thailand, and some others. But anyway, we'll focus on the Philippines. So, a budget to live here, I've always said like a minimum monthly budget, and this varies obviously. You can't really put a number on it, but I would say you can do like $1,500, probably $2,000 would be better. And if you can get like consistent income coming in from Social Security or investments or something like that, relying on a business out here is probably not the best idea unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital and you're doing some hardcore, really nice resort in a particularly good tourist location. I'd say don't bank too much on, running a sari store with your Filipino wife or something and expect to be banking, because it's probably not going to happen. Okay, but anyway, so what happens though to men that flee the US and say they owe, I don't know, a lot of money in credit card debt, over $20,000, maybe $50,000, easily $100,000 in debt. So as a lot of people know, debt, consumer debt, and credit card debt, that's a civil thing. It's not really criminal. So you can, in theory, owe, $20,000, $50,000 US dollars, over $100,000, and even some people that, I don't know, they really never had the intention of paying back, or maybe they just get in over their head or something. It's still not considered a criminal act. So what creditors do is after, X amount of days of non-payments, they'll sell it to collectors and whatnot, and people will basically harass the daylights out of you. And if you don't pay them, eventually they'll get a judgment and possible liens. And so they can start garnishing US bank accounts, take any assets that you might have in the US, stuff like that. Now, stuff creditors can't do is garnish Social Security wages, for instance. And they cannot take any money out of an IRA account. That's pretty protected up to large amounts in most states. IRAs, retirement accounts basically. So yeah, I was kind of doing some research on this, and I took some notes, but I think you'd be surprised that there is some, expats that are either possibly running away from debt or creating debt here while they're in retirement, okay? Like say, I don't know, maybe say you're in your 70s and 80s, and what are you gonna do? Like say you really, you're not gonna work anymore, obviously, and maybe you got a small Social Security coming in, but what if you have no assets in the US, you don't plan on going back, and say you have I don't know, 20, 50, 100 plus $1,000 in available credit across multiple cards as a 70, 80-year-old man, and say you're, in a position to where you need an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month, what are they gonna do? I think men in those positions would likely start racking up debt, Now, I was also doing some research. Apparently, you can have big credit limits on your credit cards, but if you start making these outlandish purchases, or you just basically stop making payments, credit card companies do reserve the right just to, cut your limit, shut off your card, basically. So I think what a lot of men maybe do is they start spreading out these purchases, say $1,500, $2,000 a month, across multiple credit cards, and they start making slightly above the minimum payment, not the minimum, but slightly above. so they're paying a little bit of interest. And apparently, in theory, some men are able to do that for a considerable amount of time before the banks or the credit card companies will, start to shut you off. And another creative thing they do is they'll keep a U.S. account open, and they'll have a little bit of money deposited in it or whatnot. They'll still make some purchases in the U.S. Some of these guys even use VPNs apparently to mask their purchases that they do while in the Philippines. All shady stuff, right? I mean, we're going to get into the ethical and spiritual component towards the end of this video, but I mean, I don't know what some guys would do. I mean, if seriously, they're in a dire situation, they're in the Philippines, maybe they're even on disability, and so they're not going to go back home. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to charge up their credit cards and presumably never pay it back. And so, yeah, the U.S. is going to go after them. But the thing is there's not a lot of, they can have liens and stuff against you in the U.S., but they can't go after like your properties in the Philippines because it's very hard to do. And it creates extra complications. It's usually not even worth their interest to try to get involved in a foreign country and all that kind of stuff. So in my theory is that there probably is a good amount of foreigners here that aren't on YouTube, obviously, that lay low, that are sort of like, maybe they're massively in debt. And, they can't really, if they go back to the US soil, like I said, there's nothing that's gonna happen to them criminally, but I mean, they could civilly owe a lot of money. I mean, they wouldn't be able to, obviously, if they start a job, their wages will be garnished, their bank accounts, any money they put in it will be taken away. But I guess that's about it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering, how many expats are here running away from debt and or accruing massive debt once they're here. So, the other thing is, for some people that get into debt unintentionally, okay, not intentionally, people that are intentionally doing that should probably not try to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, okay? Now, expats still have the option, if they get in over their head, they can't make payments, and they did not do this intentionally over time, they can, in theory, still file bankruptcy from the Philippines, okay? You don't have to actually physically be in the US to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, okay? Now, again, that's only an option if you're not doing any monkey business and stuff like this, because guys, I mean, even technically when filing bankruptcy, you have to disclose foreign accounts, you have to disclose foreign assets, okay? So, it might be hard to do. I got a funny story about the bankruptcy thing. And the whole bankruptcy thing is basically like, they accrue this massive debt, and bankruptcy basically wipes it out. So legally, creditors can't come after them anymore. Judgments are invalid, that kind of thing. So, some people do that. But some people try to file bankruptcy when they're up to no good, and the judges and courts, they're pretty keen on some of that stuff, guys. I have a funny story really quick. I had a friend of mine he was a business owner, and he ran like, I don't want to talk about the business he ran, but anyway, he ran, I'll say it's an apartment complex, these studios, and he was self-employed, and he did a good job. He had a successful business for many years, but then, he started accruing debt, like slowly over time, and there was nothing he could do. And he filed bankruptcy, and he was successful at it. And it really saved him from owing a lot. But he told me his story when he was in court. There was another couple there. How can I describe, like, I don't know, maybe like this middle-ish, upper class, like yuppie professional type of couple. And, apparently, they started within the past 2 to 5 years transferring massive amounts of money into their retirement accounts. They started withdrawing like substantial amounts of cash years before. And they just kind of walked into court thinking that, you know, they're just going to wipe out their credit, or sorry, just wipe out all their debt. And the judge basically said really coldly and dryly, like, yeah, so after reviewing this, I'm referring you guys for criminal prosecution. Like their jaws dropped. They didn't know what to do. But yeah, that can happen, you know? So the way I see it is like, it's, I mean, who would want to be in retirement, you know, knowing that you basically ripped off all these creditors and businesses, I guess, and banks. And, you know, I know a lot of people in desperate situations, and I get that. It still doesn't make it right. I mean, even though the likelihood, if they have you know, debts under $100,000, they're probably not going to come after them in the Philippines realistically. But, I don't know, man. It's just kind of a rough way to go out, I think. I mean, you kind of want to go out with a clean slate. You worked hard all your life, or some of your life. I mean, you're just gonna, maybe that's a retirement fantasy for some people. Like, I'm just gonna let it all roll out in my 70s and 80s and go on some massive spending spree. But I mean, I don't know, man. That's probably not a good idea. I don't recommend it. Bad news. Play it straight, man. Just stay frugal. That's the way I see it. I mean, go into your golden years with a clean conscience. And it's like, you know, you're moving to the Philippines for simplicity, man. I mean, most people aren't coming here to live some like grandiose McMillionaire lifestyle where they're, you know, they want to seem richer than they are, so they're going to go charge up a bunch of debts. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cheesy, right? But, you know, I'd say you got to have like 1,500 to 2,000 here to be comfortable. And especially, obviously, if you have a Filipino girlfriend or wife, and of course, if you have kids, yeah, you're going to need that kind of amount. And, you know, just be prepared for that. Unless you want to be like some homeless expat and just kind of really go frugal. But, you know, that can be an experiment too. It's probably easier for a single man, though, you know, because, I mean, most of these age gap relationship Big Daddy dynamics, they're going to kind of be expecting some money from Big Daddy to kick down, right? So, I mean, you know, if he's going to be cheap, that's probably not going to be fun either, right? Anyway, that's my thoughts for the day. You guys, let me know what you think about this. What do you think about, you know, expats accruing debt while in the Philippines or moving to the Philippines because they have debt? Let me know what you think about that. Yeah, and by the way, even with these liens and debts and so forth, from what I've read, it's still hard for, you know, these creditors and collectors, even with judgments, say if you have a condo in the Philippines, I think it's hard for them to go after that. Just keep that in mind. That's not like advice. I'm just telling facts. It's like, you know, but they technically can though, but it would be very hard for them. But again, I mean, I don't know. Don't you want to sleep well at night? All right, well, that's it, guys. It's Captain Trucker. Let me know what you think. God bless. Stay safe out there. Stay responsible, man. Live frugally, live simple. You all take care. Bye-bye.